This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, October 10th, 2017, episode 143. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig, at Nicholas M. Craig is my Twitter, and infectionpodcast.com is our website. Joining me as he does each and every week with a very cool transition. Look at who it is. It's Brian Aldridge. Look at that. That's fantastic. Look at me. There's my hand. What's going on?
There we go. Yeah. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, more than welcome. Go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Of course, go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. On the right-hand side, all the links to find us on the internet. One thing I'd encourage you to do if you're listening, maybe you're a more recent person to join us, go check out our Discord. If you go to the website on the right-hand side, there's a green button that says Join Server. And that will connect you right to our Discord server. And it's easy to use. It's free. We have a really good mobile app. And the desktop app works really well, very lightweight. So that's the best way to be able to connect with us and be participating in things like Game of the Week and just be able to play different games with us. So check it out.
Absolutely. You can check that out at infectionpodcast.com. If you want to check out another great podcast, Brian, everybody's a big fan. The Crummy Show.
Crummiest.
We've got the ratings are just through the roof. And let me tell you, I'll give you a little sneak peek. We started a new system on the Crummy Show. It's we have our own rating scale now. It's called the Crummy Cookie Scale, and it's out of 4. And my wonderful co-host of the Crummy Show, out of 4 cookies, and my wonderful co-host gave the new Cuphead 4 out of 4 Crummy cookies, as you can see though with this fantastic graphic on screen. So if you're interested in hearing why Cuphead is a 4 out of 4 and me making an idiot of myself, which I did on this show, you can check it out. Visit crummyshow.com, thecrummyshow.com, gaming, geekiness, and more. It's like this show, but without Brian and with somebody else, and not about survival games. So, but it's pretty similar.
It's for the guy who can't spell his last name.
I can spell his name. It's Zembrzus.
You're looking at it right now.
No, I'm not. At Jake_Zabowski. Zembrzuski. It's a Polish last name.
Okay.
I can spell his last. I've known him since I was a little kid. I know how to spell his last name. And there's a big feud between Brian. We did have the idea of an April Fool's joke, an April Fool's show, where Jake did this show, which would be atrocious. You should hear him.
That's gonna be hilarious.
No, listen to the intro on this episode. He totally botched it, like really bad, like a really bad intro. And then halfway through, he's like, "Nick, can you do the intro?" It was just a disaster.
Nick doesn't cut. It's going live.
No,
like this.
There's no cut. Yeah, I'm like, no, like, I'll save you, but no, I don't.
I think it would be hilarious. I mean, I don't mind talking. I won't be able to talk about all the Nintendo stuff.
We don't talk about Nintendo stuff. We just talk about video games.
Yeah, we talk about other stuff, and then he'll come on here.
It'll be me. See, the problem is, first of all, there won't be any show notes, so there'll be no prep. And I'll have to talk for 2 hours straight. I mean, that just doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah, it's all right.
Maybe we should get you on an episode of the Crummy Show. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, we could do that. That'd probably be safer.
It seems like it's a less risky way to go. Yes, you can check that out, crummyshow.com. How the heck are you, Brian?
Doing pretty good. I've been playing. I played a lot of Tomb Raider in the last couple weeks. So the Humble Bundle monthly.
Oh, and there's Firebomb coming in with the F-13 GOTW boys. Well, of course, I might as well just say it now. It is this Friday, 3 days from now, is going to be F-13, Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
I don't know if I'm going to be around for it, unfortunately.
Oh, man. I should be here.
I'm going to try my best. Unfortunately, I believe I'm going to be traveling again. So I'm not sure exactly if I'm going to be able to be there or not. I will try my best to be there. That's all I can say. So,
all right.
But I'll absolutely try my best.
Friday the 13th. And so they're having a special double XP event for Friday the 13th. They're releasing some new content that we're going to get to here in a little bit on the show. So this is going to be our Friday the 13th game of the week night. So make sure you're there Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Wait, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it's
right?
9 p.m., 7 p.m. your time.
It's 7 p.m. for me. And that way I would show up a little early, make sure it runs. I'm assuming they'll get the patch out and everything will be running fine by that time at night. So we will see, but plan on that. If you're not in our Discord, make sure you join it. So everybody will be ready to go launch into the game, and we'll be able to get some groups going pretty quickly.
Yep. So we're playing F13. Make sure you, if you haven't played it in a while, which I'm sure some people have not, make sure you get it downloaded, updated, launch it, make sure you can get into the game. And yeah, that'll be Friday night. Looking forward to it. Hopefully I can get in for at least a game or two. Yep. We'll see. We'll see what goes down. So what were you, you're talking about Tomb Raider before we got distracted.
Oh yeah.
But thank you for the donation, Firebomb.
Yeah, thank you. And that what we had for the last Humble Bundle Monthly was a Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider game. And I had gotten I already had it. And so I'll be giving away here in the next couple of weeks a copy of this, but it kind of inspired me to at least install it and launch it and try it out. Cause I know, Lance, Landgun 44 in chat, he told me that it was a really good game. So I launched it and I played a lot of hours.
Many of hours.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a game that it's like $60 game. So that was really good. I played like 17 hours worth.
Oh, that's a decent amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, like in a week, just playing, in the evenings and things, played through most of the story in about 17 hours. So
nice.
And that was pretty straight through. Like I'm starting to now go back and kind of clear out the different zones, get all the quests that were left behind. But I think I'm almost through the whole story at that point. So you get at least 17 hours worth of play with just the main story. So definitely worth it. Now that was the Humble Bundle Monthly, so you've missed out on that. But they have, I mean, I would, if you have one of the other Tomb Raiders, I would definitely check it out because the movement's flawless. If you like kind of the PS4 style of movement from The Last of Us, and what was the other one you were talking about?
Uncharted.
This has a very similar movement style, so it'd be even a really good game on PlayStation or on some sort of console. It seems like it's made for that, but they ported it over to PC perfectly because the movements are really smooth, so that's good.
And you know what I find so interesting, Brian? I've experienced this a little bit. I've been playing. I started playing The Last of Us last night, and it's just so weird. This is gonna come off really bad. It is so weird playing a finished game, like with finished mechanics.
Because we play so many alphas now.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it to be like, oh, to hell with the alpha games. No, absolutely not. I'm not saying that. But it's just different. Like it's just a completely different animal when you're playing a $60. This game has been combed over so finely for the most part by, I don't know. No, I think Naughty Dog does The Last of Us. I mean, Naughty Dog, they're a top class game development studio. It's just different. Like there are some little. I had an AV sync on the intro. The audio and video was way out of sync, like good 3 seconds. So obviously things like that happen, but just gameplay in general seems to be just different. And again, you've been probably experiencing this with the Tomb Raider. It's so weird when you're on a track, essentially, where you may have an option to go left or go right, but no matter what, left and right combine you into the same.
You're eventually going to this one point.
Exactly. So it is interesting to say the least about they're just different style games. They're not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just different.
Going through, like having done a lot of blend spaces and working with the character movements in Unreal, I know why a lot of these alpha games don't seem so smooth. It's because there's not a person who's gone in and really polished that, right? The thing is these companies like Naughty Dog, they go through and they polished it once for one of their games, and then they are able to reuse that over and over again. So if you look at The Last of Us, you'll see some identical character movements, like when they do the thing where they hoist someone up or pull someone up on a ledge, identical between both those games. And you'll see it's like there's a lot of repeated use of animations and code which is the first thing I noticed, because I realized, okay, that's cool they did that, and I was like, oh, they're doing it over and over again. They're using the same thing. Oh, and they're using it here in both these two games, identical. They just changed the character. Because once they get it done once, they'll keep now turning out games that are using a lot of that same base code. And then everything else on top, as far as what you see is the graphics and the levels and all that stuff changes, but there's a lot of the same code underneath. So, but these alpha games don't have that yet.
Well, they don't have that yet, and unfortunately, I guess I would say it's kind of both. I think that's kind of why sometimes you feel stagnant when you're playing a game like Far Cry, for example, is one of those games. In my opinion, I played a couple of the past Far Cries, and Assassin's Creed is the same way. Call of Duty is absolutely the same way. It's the same thing over and over again. And again, like you said, those alpha games haven't experienced that because it's not what they do. And in a lot of cases, they don't have big stories. Like it's not a big story. Like there's in some cases like Ark, there's argued to say no story whatsoever. I mean, there's really nothing. So
those ones, they can get it so polished because you're on that track. Like they can just make sure, all right, if you come up to this, you're gonna either do one of these things. They can polish out every single possible scenario because you're in a very straight track. You're either going to go on this ledge over here or you're going to go down this path over here. And they can really work on it. But if you look at these other games that are totally open world, it's like, what can you do differently?
Yeah.
They could do anything. I mean, they can jump up. I mean, you see in all these things, they try to jump up in weird places. They're not supposed to.
Conan, look at
crawling system, that crawling system that they have to be able to go up walls and stuff. Like that pretty much just unlocks it totally.
Yeah, you can literally go anywhere.
I think that's better than what these other like console games are doing personally, because I think it's tougher for them because they have to make sure everything looks good. Because you could be crawling up on any kind of mountain. Like they have to finish everything, where these console games say, okay, well, you're not going to be able to go over here, so we don't even have to finish that.
Well, and that's, for example, why games like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption take so long to produce, because you look at GTA and everything is polished to an extraordinary level.
Every single scenario, like there's something happening. Like if you do some silly little thing with a bike or with like everything has finish to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much how I view it.
And it's,
you go in the water, you swim, like there's nothing that seems out of place in those games.
No. And of course, there's the funny glitches and stuff. If you look at, go look at YouTube videos and you can find all of the different, weird bugs that happen. But for the most part, everything is pretty damn polished. But again, that's what those games take. Those games are in production for sometimes 5-7 years before they come out.
Sometimes with thousands of people working on it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely
big difference.
Oh yeah, it's a huge difference. So it's definitely. I'm not making the comparison.
So what do you think about this Far Cry, the new Far Cry though? Like I see video. You're not?
No,
in the
of
new
course
one?
not. Because it's the same. It's the same bullshit from the last one. It's not. Nothing's different. It's just reskinned. It's the same. It's the same issue with these Star Wars games.
It seems like there's a lot of open world elements.
But
to
see,
it.
that's
It's
the thing
not
is,
so much.
But the last Far Cry was like, it's the same issue with why I'm not interested in playing any of the new Star Wars games that EA's making, because it's the same damn thing as the Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 1. It literally the last Star Wars that came out, not the one that just came out, the one that came out a little while ago. I don't remember what it was called. It literally felt like a Battlefield 3 mod with skins. It played exactly the same as Battlefield 3. Which I'm not interested in.
If you find that the new Far Cry, like they've actually changed things, would you be interested in it?
No, because I know it's the same engine. It's this have you ever played a Far Cry game?
Yeah, I played one of them.
Like I've got Far Cry 4 and I played another one of the Far Cry. I played Far Cry 4 and the one before it. And I mean both of them were all right, but it's just too much. It's the same reason why I don't play Assassin's Creed. Every game feels the same.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing is I played Assassin's Creed for a while, and then it got to be, as you said, very repetitive.
Yeah,
kind of the same thing. I like stories in a game, and so that's where I was looking at Far Cry with the new one, just seeing how you could hunt, but those things are easy to simulate to make them seem like they're really random when we're actually playing the game over and over again. It's like, oh, that bear always does that. Or like, these things happen repeated. It doesn't seem quite so random after a while. So I don't know. I've not really played a ton out of the original ones, so I'm interested in playing it just because I've not played a ton of Far Cry.
And PH makes a
And it
good
looks
point.
good.
They feel the same because AAA companies don't want to take any risk. That's a fact. I mean, you look at Activision with Call of Duty, and they think they're taking some risk here with Call of Duty World War II. I played the beta; it was awful. It was totally, and they think they're taking some big risk. I would love for Fallout to take a risk. Jesus, I'm all over the place. I would love for Far Cry to take a risk. Like I would love for them to take a risk, but they're not. And this is going to be just like Far Cry. This is going to be just like Primal, which was I believe.
Yeah, I never played Primal.
Yeah, but I mean, Primal looked cool. We talked about
and that
Primal.
one looked really repetitive. Yeah, that one
but
looked
they're
really
all repetitive.
So
That's the problem. That's my big issue.
Yeah.
Now, again, if it comes out and everybody's ranting and raving about it and ragging on it, maybe I'll get it when it's on sale. I don't know, $30, $40. But I'm sure as hell not going to pay full price for it. That's just not going to happen.
Well, and Joe brings up, he says same thing though with Fallout. Like it's the same each game. I mean, look at Fallout 3, New Vegas.
Yeah, well, New Vegas is kind of
much the same game.
Yeah, well, yeah, but Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, but it's the same thing between GTA 4 and GTA 5. I mean, it's an entirely new open world aspect. Yes, it's the same concept, of course. But see, this is the issue, though, with games like Far Cry. Every year, it's a new game that feels like the last year game. Between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, which came out last year, 2015, it was like 5 or 6 years between those games. New Vegas was interesting.
And that's what I'm saying. Like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 were very different, but Fallout 3 and New Vegas felt like the same game, different story or map.
I wasn't a fan of New Vegas. But see, that's the thing, is they can get away with that because they're not. And Assassin's Creed had this issue, and that's why they took like a year and a half, almost 2 year break from publishing the series, because it's too much. Like, you're not going to convince me to spend $60 on your game every year. Now, if you release it every 3 years, you might, but not every year. It's just not going to happen.
So what about, like, let's take a look at Red Dead Redemption then. What are you expecting to be the same between Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2? Do you think that they're going to actually branch out and do something different in the second one?
No, and they don't have to. It's the same reason they don't have to in GTA.
Because it's going to be like GTA 5 Cowboy Edition?
It might be. That's very possible. But the good thing is you forget. I haven't really played GTA 5 story since the Xbox 360, which has now been a couple of years. And the Red Dead Redemption came out in 2011. I mean, you're talking, by the time it comes out, you're talking 6.5, 7 years difference in time. They can fortunately do that. If they released a Red Dead Redemption every year, you'd say to hell with it. I'm not going to play this because it's the same thing I played last year. And I did actually.
Well, then they'd actually have to change it. I mean, that's what you see with Battleground. Seems like they just, I don't know. I look at that and that Call of Duty, that series, and to me they're the same thing, maybe with a little bit different of a mechanic somewhere. But it seems like it's the same thing over every single one. Call of Duty play a ton of them.
Call of Duty is this. I buy every single one of them, and I pay and I buy the deluxe edition of most of them. I mean, I've got that stupid mini fridge sitting back there. That thing was $300. But I mean, it's just, but it's what I do. I mean, I'm a total fanboy for the series. So, again, I don't go into it and go, oh my God, see, that's the difference though. I don't go into it complaining how it feels like the last one. I know it's going to feel like the last one and the one before and the one before.
It's in your comfort zone though. So if that's what you enjoy, you kind of want it to feel the same, but have a little bit of variety. I mean, that's the same thing with WoW. If you look at WoW back in the day, they do all these new expansions. It was pretty much the same thing. They maybe would, they'd give you a new creature here and there, but you got to realize for years you're playing the exact same game with just a little bit different story thrown in, and you're paying $60 for that stupid title. And it's the exact same thing.
And you really enjoyed it, did you not?
Yep, and it was great.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
So I mean, it's really whatever. That's it. I don't. There's not really like huge fans of Far Cry because people don't play it constantly.
No, because it's.
I'm saying, like, these games are different because they're not repetitive. They're not online. You don't just sit there and play it.
The reasons you don't have fans of Far Cry like that is because in most cases they're single playthroughs. Like, you don't.
Yep. You play the story. It's not a player versus
Now,
player.
again, you can take a really long time to play the story and really draw it out and do all the side quests and stuff, but it's the same thing with Red Dead Redemption. You play through Red Dead Redemption, and then, like, for example, I think I've played Red Dead Redemption 3 times. The first time I played through it, second time I played, I don't know, maybe half the game, and then the third time I started it and never got any further with it. But it wasn't like I played it repetitively. Like, I played it through the first time. I played it for how many months? I don't know. However many months I played it. Then I didn't play it for 2.5, 3 years. Then I played it again. Didn't play it for 2.5 or 3 years. Then played it again. So it's fine. But like throughout that time, I wasn't like itching to play Red Dead. I was hoping for a new one, actually. So
yeah,
it's just different.
We are way off. We haven't even touched our notes
that's
yet.
fine. The notes are
Okay.
We don't have crazy notes. Do have a couple of other things we can talk about our Gmod experience. Let me tell you, folks, ladies and gentlemen, I've got some breaking news for you. Brian Aldridge is arguably the worst person in the world. He is a typical internet troll when it comes to Gary's Mod. You are, and you can laugh about it all you want. You are a typical internet troll.
Yes.
What do you have to say for yourself?
Hey. Now, Nick missed out on the Harry Potter role playing that we were doing.
I came in right at the
Harry Potter role play.
I came right in on the last second of that, and I was thankful I was 15 minutes late.
Yeah, I was ready to go on it, and there weren't enough people on the. There's like 100 people on the server, but like nothing was happening. People were just running around.
Shocker.
So, yeah, and so then we switched to
Prop Hunt.
Which one we do? Terrace Town.
No, we did Prop Hunt first.
Prop Hunt first,
which was
was a lot of fun. I mean, it's just idiots on there. And then we switched to Trouble in Terrace Town. Is that what it is?
Triple T, of course. Yep.
Yes, and which was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, Triple T is good. I had a lot of good fun with Prop Hunt, and especially in that one map with the big hallway in the middle. That's always a good chuckle. I don't remember what it's called. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
So we played some Gmod. We don't play it very often.
No.
Yeah, we had about 5 or 6 people, but I enjoy it every time we play it. I have fun. Not that I want to play it every day.
No, definitely not. You definitely do not want to.
Would drive me crazy.
It would play crazy, but luckily, we found some nice children to troll on Gary's Mod, and we had a grand old time. If you missed out on Gary's Mod, you really missed out on a fun time because we're awful people. we're really, really bad. Nevertheless,
I'm like mimicking my internet nerd voice, but I don't realize. But what's sad is then I realize there's people in there that actually talk like that.
Yeah, there is. Very sad.
They're not making up a voice to do it.
Yeah. So hopefully you can join us next time for Gary's Mod. That'll be a couple months from now. And of course, next week F13, and then the week after for people that want to plan early. And typically we don't go another week out, but we will this time because it's kind of set in stone. Overwatch has some Halloween crates up until November 1st. So the week after, we're going to be playing Overwatch. So Friday the 13th, of course, we're going to be playing Friday the 13th. But then the 20th of October, we're going to be playing some Overwatch, getting some of those crates, some of those Halloween skins. So we may even do it 2 weeks in a row, depending on if people are really, really itching to play and get some of those skins. So look forward to that Overwatch the week after. And then one other thing before we actually get into the meat and potatoes of the program, Brian. You linked to this Humble bundle today.
Yes.
It's a pretty good deal. This is the Endless RPG Lands bundle. And it's got it's got some Borderlands games in here. So
it's got pretty much the full Borderlands 1 and 2 for $10. Well, for $10 you get Borderlands 1, 2, and the pre-sequel. So there's 3 different Borderlands in there.
$5 gets you 1 and 2.
Plus Van Helsing. It's got just a number of different games. Worm, Endless Legend, so Guild of Engineering. I've never played that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually bought the second tier, even though I had a number of the games already, just for giveaways and things like that.
Gotcha. So you can check that out. Of course, use our link. You can check it over on infectionpodcast.com. Click the big red Humble Bundle URL, and it'll pop you up in the site, and then you can go ahead and pay what you want, and it helps support the program. All right. Half hour into the show. Let's get into some news.
Yes.
What do you want to open with?
All right, we'll just jump into Arc. Arc should be fairly short.
Okay.
They will be releasing the
game
DLC coming here in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
And actually, I did get with money from crates, PUBG crates that I sold. I got the season pass for it.
You sold PUBG crates?
Or not crates,
Arc.
skins.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep.
Good for you.
Yeah, so I got like $30 in
Damn.
skins that I sold on there. So I was like, yeah, I'll get that. That way I can play it and
Nice.
report on it. So, but yeah, so they'll be doing that. That'll be the new one. That's for people that really play Arc. One benefit is then they'll have some of those new assets and items will be in the regular Arc servers as well. Because once they add them to the one, it's something that because of the transfers, everything, you can bring them over. If we really wanted to, I'm sure they'll have ways, or maybe they'll even add them to some of these other maps so we can get them into the regular servers as well. So, all right. So this is 271.2, and this was put out on the 7th. So 3 days ago, they fixed a method that was being used to push characters underneath the ground. They fixed fertilizer getting durability reset when using deposit action. They increased the Ragnarok boss arena max time to 40 minutes. And then they fixed a server loading crash that some mod users were seeing, and they fixed remote keypads not working properly under certain legacy servers. And then a small one on the same day, this is the 271.21, and they fixed impact decals that were not rendering. 271.24, another small one on the next day, October 8th. They fixed some crashes, which would prevent saves from loading when certain mods were being used. And then the final update, 271.3, they added HDR graphic option. So this is going to actually look different, but to do it, you'll have to, it says experimental, but you need to be in full screen mode, not like probably borderless windowed or anything like that. NVIDIA only. So if you have an ATI card, I'm sorry. And then it says may only work up to 1080p on certain drivers. So that's the new HDR. You have to try that. Maybe take some screenshots, see how it looks different. They fixed server list refreshing when adding or removing favorites. Fixed. Now it says Doed, but I think that's the Dodo, I would assume, right? Or that's Dodicarus. They fixed the Dodicarus level up animation, which it hops around and does crazy. I'm not sure what it's supposed to do differently. Maybe it was something just with one of the last patches that went bad. And they fixed the plant turrets versus proning players, and then they fixed Griffin backwards fly dash run. So that brings us to current, and it seems like nothing huge that they're doing, but from what I can tell and seeing their activity on Twitter, it sounds like they're pretty much everybody's working on this new expansion that they're coming out here in the next couple of weeks. And which is crazy to me is that they're still actually programming in it. I can imagine like you're releasing within 2 weeks and they're like, oh, we're still writing it. You got to be pretty confident that you're going to get it done. It just kind of surprised me.
Oh, absolutely.
I would think that I think you'd want to have it done like a couple weeks before you release, but I guess that's not how they roll. So that is pretty much it for Arc. Now, should we do the giveaway now? The next one will probably be somewhat long.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll give away a copy of Pirate Pop Plus. And I'll get a link for this. Let me get the giveaway rolling out here first. So it'll be exclamation point giveaway. And then it will be 30 points. There we go. And it's now open. All right. So Pirate Pop Plus. And this is one of those, it's about a $5 title, but it's an action indie casual retro arcade game.
My kind of game.
It has positive ratings. Yep. So you're more than welcome to enter for that exclamation point giveaway. There we go. And I'm not sure if Amnon entered before or after. I'm sure you would love that game. Might have been of old times.
Oh yes.
It's kind of like it's like a Game Boy style looking game. Is how all the screens are. So
that's good stuff.
Right.
This next one is this will probably wrap up the show after this.
It might.
This is going to be a long one. First thing is we've got
initially they had one thing that just was an announcement.
Yeah, so they're making some changes to the leaderboard and a reset schedule. I believe this is the second time they're doing a reset, maybe the third. I want to say the second. Somebody in chat could, but I remember they did it once and it was a big deal, and I think this is the second time. So what they're doing is they of course want to apologize to users that have been waiting for the reset. They're planning on starting a new season October 11th. That will be
So that'll be tomorrow.
well, actually, that's going to be today at 10 o'clock Eastern. Is actually when this is going to start. That's 11 a.m.
Oh yeah, because it's 4
Korea
a.m.
Standard Time.
Yeah.
So this will be 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. The new season is going to start. So this is what's going to happen: is the current session is going to end 10 p.m. tonight, and then so there's going to be a limbo period of about 7 days between season ending and the new leaderboard season beginning. So you'll have from October 10th to October 17th to play all you want, risk everything. There's no leaderboards, there's no stats.
Yeah.
So
try some new strategies and die a lot.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
I mean, it's not going to affect you.
So you can do that. You've got that player you've got that time to do it, and then the new server will be back. Or excuse me, the new rankings will be back the 16th, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. That's when the new ones will start. The 16th is actually next Monday night. So you'll have
cool.
You'll have until then to do that. So coolio.
Yep. So and I think that they delayed it or something. I don't know. They seem to be.
I think it was supposed to happen a couple of weeks. It seemed to happen. I thought it was supposed to happen a couple of weeks ago, or maybe at the beginning of the month.
And then they didn't get to it, so there was just more of a delay.
And looking at this, I do believe this is the second time they've done this.
Yep. Okay. Cool. I don't really care about my stats too much, but
no,
I know a lot of people. That's what they're all about.
Yeah. If they made it
now,
if I could opt out of the leaderboards, I actually probably would, because I really just don't care what's. I just don't care. Like, it's just irrelevant. KD wins, loss is just irrelevant.
Well, and that's the thing is I don't want to change my play style worrying about that.
No, absolutely not.
I just want to go in there and have fun personally.
So
there was a tweet that was put out by Steam Spy, and this is something that we saw in King of the Kill.
Stepping on my segment again, it's fine. Yep.
Now, I'm not actually going over any of those numbers.
I understand.
They're all percentages.
It's all a joke, Brian. It's all a joke.
Yeah. And I tried to be careful. I tried to be careful not to.
No, I think we should, because this is important.
So on here, Steam Spy put out a thing that said PUBG continued growth is driven by Asia. China and Korea account for half of its players. And if you look, this graph over time, this is showing, if you look at the yellow, that'd be the US percentage. This is share of the total players. Back, let's see, this was in March. They were the US was 40% of the total player base of the game. And then if you look, right then, it was, let's see, I'm trying to think of who the purple was. I'm not sure exactly who the purple is. They jumped up and then kind of pretty consistent, but China started out 5% and just has ramped up, especially in the last, since 2 months, is it? Pretty much jumped up past over a 40% share. Korea has been gradually working up to about a 7% share. And so they account for about 50% of the total players right now. Is just China and Korea at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, you can see this progression upwards for China, and then Korea's getting a little bump, and then the U.S. is down.
Yes.
Now,
that's not necessarily, you got to take into account. So if you jump to the players statistics,
yes.
Let's see. So let me get the right one. There's one where I put in the stats imager link.
Correct. Let me open this up.
If you look at the PUBG owners data, first of all,
so is that, hold on,
you'll see.
Hold on a second. Stand by. You want the owners data? I'm just trying to open all these links up. So you want the owners data first?
So go and do the owners data. If you look at that, that's pretty much been that gradual, just rise up. Something jumped, in September. You see that there was just a big spike in players, and then it's been more rapid growth. And then in the last just couple week, I mean, look at the jump in just the last week of players. And I'm not sure what accounts for all that yet, but like they were very incredibly consistent up until September, and then something jumped. And if you look, like, it's not been as gradual, like it's been more rapid up. So they've definitely hit and I assume this has something to do with China, pretty much China picking up and starting to play. The skin market dropped out, right, on King of the Kill. And a lot of people, and I'm wondering how much of that is driving this now. The pricing here, because the skin market is what gets a lot of these guys playing, I would assume. I mean, they're hoping that they can sell and get skins and sell it for money on Steam. And so I think that has to do a lot with what drives the number of players. And I've been curious, and I don't know if you have an opinion on this, how many are possibly bots? Like, I've been hearing a lot about bots just going in and being in matches. They've been starting to make some changes recently, but there are scripts out there that pretty much just move the character around a little bit so that they get points, and it automatically puts them in game.
Of course, there is. Of course, there's some bots, but if I looking back at this picture right here, I will never believe that this 42% spike is just because of bots.
Yeah. Now, what's driving it? Like, is it just because it's just become a thing in China? Like,
Possibly.
That's what I can't figure out, is like, what drives it? Is it skins? I mean, because that's one thing.
Might be.
If you look, I brought in some examples of PUBG. Like, if you get to the King of the Kill owners data, I mean, if you look at that, like, it has just leveled off. In the last just month, right? It just pretty much has gained no players. It's actually gone down, and I'm not sure exactly how that works. Maybe with refunds or people getting banned. I don't know, that it doesn't actually remove it from your account. But King of the Kills player data actually has gone totally stagnant. They're not gaining players anymore, or as far as this is purchases. But if you look at the actual players data, PUBG,
which
when I pulled the geography.
Oh, you want the owner's data? Okay.
Yeah, just for King of the Kill.
Or PUBG or King of the Kill?
King of the Kill.
Okay. Yes.
If you look at it, I mean, look at the last month, gone totally stagnant.
Yep.
I mean, it's flatlined at that point. And I think that's the first time that's really happened for that long of a period of time. If you look, it's always gone up. Like, maybe it would level out for a couple days or go down for a day or two. But it's pretty much for a month has been just totally stagnant. And so I don't know if that is kind of a sign for them, or if they're changing anything. A lot of it has to do with this new patch, I guess. A lot of people are mad about that. But if you look at the player owners data for the two, so the geography, for PUBG and King of the Kill, they're almost identical now. If you look at the actual players, so this would be the ones at the bottom.
Yeah, trying to figure out. Is this the one you're looking for?
Yeah.
The geography. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So if you look at PUBG, I mean, right now, I had put up an alert a long time ago when I noticed this, and I said, hey, look, China's pretty much got a huge percentage. With PUBG, China, as you see here, has 40% of the current players are from China at the moment. The United States is almost 12.5%.
Yeah.
Yep, of current players. And then Korea is at 6.6% pretty much of total players. So that's the top three. But if you look at owners, China is the 33% owners. We're almost 16% owners. So they're definitely the reason that there's huge numbers. And I'm just wondering how, it's really hard to see, but like how much of this, we see the numbers and we're like, oh, this is really popular here in the United States, but how popular is it really?
Well, clearly it's not.
If you took China out of the mix, how many people would actually be playing?
You could very easily find this out. There's 1.6 something million people playing the game. 12% of that. I mean, it's not. You're a couple 100,000 is what you get.
Total, which is still good.
A lot. Yeah.
I mean, if you compare a King of the Kill, you look compared to Ark and compared to a lot of these other titles, that's still a really good share. But this 1.6 million seems to come down to China.
Look at how similar these charts are.
I mean, 8 million. Oh, well, probably 7 million, probably. Well, sorry. If you're doing 1.6 million, And if you look at 40%, so there's got to be like 600,000, 700,000 people in China.
That's what I'm saying. You're maybe talking 200,000-300,000 for the U.S. depending on the day and whatever. Yep. Maybe 400,000 depending on.
And
the
we
day.
don't know how many. Where it says other, that could be VPN accounts. I mean, there could be a lot of. Yeah. It's hard to say what the other is because that's a much higher percentage than what you would think it would be. For other, I mean, I'm not sure how many countries or just maybe it's a Steam setting that's doing that. But then if you jump down to King of the Kill,
off. So
yeah.
King of the Kill looks the same.
That's probably what they're doing. It's a now almost identical graphs. Just so the percentages, those are percentages, but the numbers are lower.
So here's the question then, Brian. Do we give the same criticism that we gave H1Z1?
My concern.
I mean, we've got to be fair with this. But hold on a second. We need to be consistent with this because you and I both ripped H1, and it's not H1Z1's fault. We just made the fact that a majority of the players playing King of the Kill. In this case, it's 47%, which is a lot of people playing King of the Kill. I mean, it's practically 50%. It's not quite as bad on PUBG. It's only 40%, but nevertheless, you're still talking about almost half the player base. 40% of the player base. Yep. That's a lot. I mean, is the criticism the same?
Well, my concern is where it goes from here, because like PH is mentioning in chat, a lot of this comes down to skins. This is how these guys make a living. They come on to games like this, they sell skins, and that's how they make money. And I think that is driving a lot of this. And I think that's what drove that whole skin market. And when they pretty much said, all right, you can't stream, it looks like you might not be able to play it possibly in the future. The same with King of the Kill, the whole thing dropped out. And I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens here. There in China at the beginning of next year is going to be blocking VPNs.
Yeah.
In the country.
Allegedly.
Well, I mean, but if they block the ability to do a VPN and these guys actually do restrictions and say, if you're coming from China, you have to play on an Asian server, I think that would be the way to go. Then you could actually enforce it where you can't really enforce it right now.
No, I agree.
And we look at what Daybreak did in trying to stop this, doing with the ping restrictions and everything else. I'm wondering if PUBG is going to be right behind them on this, because it seems like they're going to have to do something, because we saw what China did to pretty much the servers on King of the Kill. I mean, we lived it.
Yeah, they destroyed
and that's my concern, is that PUBG is going to turn into the exact same thing. A lot of it will come down to anti-hacking, though. I mean, if they can, and actually this segues perfectly into my next thing that I wanted to talk about. If you take a look at Epic's, because there's kind of a supposed feud, and who knows if it's really there.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Brian. I don't think there's a feud at all. I just think that this is what the internet does. They drum stuff up just to make it, I don't know. I think they drum stuff up.
Yeah. And I think, I think Blue Hole maybe did say, there's concern that they may do something, but I don't think that's a real concern.
No.
So I wanted to actually come forward with, I think that Fortnite and Epic making a battle royale game, I think that's actually good in a way for PUBG. And I'll tell you why.
Stay tuned. Coming up at 11 tonight, Brian Aldridge will have the latest on why.
Well, yeah, we won't make you wait. But I look at it, Epic has to now deal with, in their own game, they have to deal with cheaters. And they're going to have to deal with the real frustration of cheaters in a game that they make, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is going to make them, and they put it in a post here on 10.4. They put a post out saying Battle Royale cheaters, because they're finally having a game that cheaters are a big issue with, right? Battlegrounds, cheaters is a big issue. King of the Kill, cheaters is a big issue. Same thing with Fortnite. Cheaters is going to be a big issue in this game. And so, to start, here's what they said. To start, addressing cheaters in Fortnite is the highest priority across Epic Games. what was anti-cheat in their engine ever a priority before that you ever remembered? I mean, not that we go over their notes, but I never saw them say, "Oh, anti-cheat in Unreal Engine is one of our top priorities."
No, and
it was always use this third party thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Epic's not going to go use the third party thing.
Well, no,
they make the engine.
Of course, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, and so that's my thing. Is I think that for maybe the first time, you'll have them actually developing an anti-cheat for the engine that will fully be integrated with the engine, because they're not going to go and say, "Whoa, we're going to use BattleEye with Fortnite."
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Okay. So
if anything, they can turn around and make it.
So I've got another question then. Do other engines follow? Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of things here. I don't want to derail you, but is this something now? Should the engines be getting into anti-cheat, some type of built-in anti-cheat? And again, if your game you want, I mean, you could always disable it if you're building a game and then use BattleEye or Easy Anti-Cheat or something.
I think that I think they're going to look at encrypting values. I think they're going to things that you could have done but was not built into the engine. You could get a plugin or you could get something to accomplish it. Mm-hmm. I think they're now going to be saying, okay, well, being Epic, we're not going to use a plugin to do this. Like if they they're going to make a plugin and then they'll incorporate it and release it with their engine.
Yeah.
And so all of these anti-cheat things that they come up with in this are going to instantly turn around and be released in the next release of Unreal Engine. And so Bluehole will have full benefit of everything that Epic comes up with here, because they're not going to make anything that they don't release to the engine. And in the next post that I'll show here in a minute actually shows, here's things that we've done to improve a battle royale experience, and we've actually are rolling them out in the engine. That Bluehole gets. They get every single one of those benefits, and every single one of those benefits that they've done helps Bluehole. And so whatever few they may have, this is doing nothing. The fact that they came out with Fortnite does nothing but improve the experience of PUBG. It makes it so that PUBG, if they take the advantage of whatever's the fixes, some of them may happen automatically, but if they incorporate all these changes and they're putting out here's what we're doing, all they have to do is incorporate that, and the game will run faster. It'll be more efficient to be able to handle more players on the server. All of it's been beneficial. So I just wanted to get, I don't understand. I understand that they may be concerned. One thing that I saw when that Bluehole put out, they said, well, we're concerned that when we contact them for support and they come up with a custom fix for us, that it'll be used to improve Battle Royale. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
You mean Fortnite's
Battle Royale. It'll be used in Fortnite. Yeah, and that to me makes zero sense. Because first of all, if they have a fix, they're going to put it in the whole engine anyways. They're not going to make a fix specifically for you and leave the bug in the engine, right?
Of course.
And they've got a whole list here. If you go to the next post, they've got a whole list of changes and improvements they've made to the engine that they're not saying, well, we made it for Fortnite, you can't use it, PUBG. I mean, there's nowhere that they say this. They have full access to every single one of these fixes. They're improving on here dedicated server performance to be able to handle 100 simultaneous players more efficiently. So that's the thing, is they want to maintain 20 hertz and minimize bandwidth. So that change that they're doing instantly helps PUBG, because they're making it, they're putting changes in the engine to be able to handle 100 simultaneous players and cut down on the bandwidth required for all those people to play together.
Yeah.
And so that being able to render a large map, that hasn't really been done on one of these other.
PUBG map isn't that big.
But I'm saying that these other engines or these other games that Epic has put out, there's never been a really large map.
No.
They've been PvP, small style games, small map. And so this is them having to actually deal with a large map. One thing that I think is happening is I think that from noticing what games the Epic releases, if you look, they have a first-person shooter game that they do, Unreal Tournament or whatever. They have they have a what is it? Like League of Legends style that they of a game that they do,
Mhm.
and then they have this one. So they're covering
Two of
those styles of this is three different styles of the most popular games,
yeah.
right? That those are the ones that they're making it for. So I don't think they're making these games so that they can sell it and make a bunch of money. Like I think it's internal testing for them. And I was actually talking with Paragon is a MOBA. I think sorry, the word was escaping. I was wanting to say MMORPG. I was like,
No, it's a MOBA.
yeah, MOBA. But if you look, like they're covering each of the major types of games, and I think that's the only reason they're making them is so that they can have real world experience and find the bugs, so they don't have to expect the developers to constantly report everything. Or maybe it's not a bug. Like here, there's just improvements they could make to their engines to handle those type of games. And I was talking to PH a little bit, like, what do you think they're going to come out with next? Do you think that they're going to try to tackle an MMORPG?
They might.
A large open world game? Because I'm trying to think of the different styles of games, like what's next for them. They've already done the Call of Duty style shooter.
Mm-hmm.
They got the MOBA. Card game, saying they could do a card game, but that's not really intensive in any way. So
no, I mean, they could do a
anything for them to
Hearthstone,
test.
but I mean, that's not, I mean,
but I'm saying that's not really pushing their engine.
yeah, the engine's not going to improve, but, the card flipping animation is not.
I mean, so I don't see them.
It's going to be just
that's
as good
a
as this
popular game,
animation.
but I don't see them.
Look,
I don't see them doing that.
I agree. Look at.
But I think like
it.
a large open world game. Whoa!
See, we got the animation. We got the card flip. We already got it.
Yeah, I know. There's like
there it is. That's all you
pretty
need.
much the extent of a lot of it.
Really intense for Epic's engine here. I mean, it's come on, get real.
And so that's where I think I don't think there's any ill will. I think for them, they've been working on this game for a while, but I think them doing a battle royale mode was purely so that they could improve their engine. I think their primary focus is their engine. It's not the game. They could care less about Fortnite, I think for them, they want to come up with the best way to improve the engine, and they do it by developing a game alongside.
Okay, so I'm not going to say if I agree with you or disagree with you. So actually, I'm going to say I disagree with you, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, you okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Brian, I completely disagree. I think you're completely wrong. Guess what? Doesn't matter, because PUBG doesn't own the license to 100 people spawn in and fight to the death. Like this is my whole point. It doesn't matter. It's called capitalism, folks. Wake up. Like PUBG doesn't have a patent, some wide ranging patent that protects them from any game that you spawn in, you use guns and you kill to the death. This is not a new concept. I mean, they just did a really good job at implementing it. So I personally don't care one bit. I hope Fortnite is trying to rip off Battlegrounds, because guess what? We saw this with H1Z1. The only reason King of the Kill has picked up their pace is because Battleground has been kicking their ass since March of this year. I mean, look at the improvements we've seen in King of the Kill. It's the only reason is because there's competition. King of the Kill had zero competition.
I mean, you saw when there was zero competition, they went totally stagnant.
Yeah, they did nothing.
And nothing changed. They pretty much are like, oh, we're making money, we're fine. And I think that you look at PUBG, I think for them, they would risk running into the same thing of eventually becoming stagnant, because they are the top dog. And I think having someone behind you, like in a race, like you see them like, oh, I got to pick up my pace a little bit. I got to keep this pace. I can't go. Now, Hanny, he brings up, there are a lot of MMOs that were made in Unreal 3. I'm not sure about UE4. And that's the thing, is I don't think right now the engine is suited. And a lot of people, when they make an MMO type of game, they're making it on other engines because it's not suited for that. That's why I can see them going in and just making a game, not because they're like, oh, this is going to be the next greatest game. I think they look at it and say, all right, now we know what changes we need to make to our engine to be able to have people make these games. Because as I said, I think all they care about is the engine. And because you don't see them like with Paragon, they don't go out and be like, oh, Paragon's going to be the next. No, they just make Paragon the best they can and they improve it. They try to make it a better game so that they can figure out what they need to do to improve their engine. Same thing with Unreal Tournament. You don't hear about that all the time, but I think the only reason they do it is to be able to improve and optimize that style of a game on their engine. And I think that some of the only things left is like an MMO or something like that, because I can't think of any other styles of games that they would do next.
To go back on that, I actually agree with you completely. But even if I didn't, it's like
it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't change. Like, they can't turn around and sue them. I mean, they're not going to be able to sue them.
Well,
their biggest concern, and the only thing they could come at them with, is a possibility of conflict of interest. But I think that they have done a good job of proving that there is no conflict of interest when they say, look at all these things and you have access to it.
Yeah, but the whole point is,
we've done all these things. Here you go. You can have it.
Well, I mean, I don't think they don't have grounds for conflict of interest. I mean,
well, I mean, that's the only way I could see them possibly trying to come in. But if they made changes and improved it only to themselves and left those out of the engine, I think then there would be grounds for saying, all right, you're doing stuff and our reports could help you improve your game that you're not giving back to us, or something like that. Here, because they're so open with it and they put every single one of the updates out there for Bluehole to have. I mean, imagine if Bluehole had to give every single one of their improvements back to Epic. They don't have to do that. But you know what? Epic gives every single one of their improvements to Bluehole. So, I mean, who's the one who's got the bad side there? I think that Bluehole has the benefit out of this.
Well, they absolutely do, and they better watch themselves, because they're eventually going to look like
the favor. Yeah, they don't want to turn the favor, because right now they have favor.
Well,
with a lot of people.
Yeah, they're going to look like jackasses, and I'm not going to sit here and watch a pissing match between them and Epic. Like, you know what? Here's a great idea, Bluehole. Go make your own damn engine, and then stop bitching. Like, there's your solution. You don't want anything to be somewhat like your game? Then go build your own damn engine. Go do what SOE did. SOE built their own engine. They're not the first company to do it. Build your own goddamn engine. You have more money than God. Go build your own engine if you're so concerned. You're using essentially a consumer engine to build your game, and then it's a big deal if somebody makes something similar to you. I mean, come on. Give me a break. This whole thing is ridiculous. Yeah. Build your own damn engine. Then you can say, well, okay, now somebody's completely ripping me off. But you can't use consumer hardware, essentially, or consumer software, build your game, and then go, oh, there's a conflict of interest. Somebody else is building a game that's like mine. Hello? It's 2017. Video games aren't brand... video games have been out for, 30 years? Like, come on. I mean, it's just, this whole thing is freaking ridiculous. So
that's one thing with this. I think that they're walking a fine line with public favor on this. I think if they turn around and make it a bigger deal, I think if anything, because Epic seems to be big fans of them.
Yeah.
One thing, Epic is making a ton of money off of them. They would want to do nothing. I mean, it makes no sense for them to try to hinder.
Of course it doesn't, Brian.
But Bluehole, because Epic makes a percentage of every single sale that Bluehole makes of Battlegrounds. I mean,
that's a conflict of interest.
I don't know if people realize that, but that because of the engine license, every single purchase that's made, Epic gets some money. So there would be zero reason for them to try to compete and take away sales from Battlegrounds. And from what we saw of all those interviews, it seemed like they were fans of Battlegrounds and they just wanted to make something that was in the, in that same feel as more of a test. Because as I said, I think they wanted to, they're probably like, well, how can we improve the engine? All right, well, let's make a mode like it and we'll figure out what we need to do. And that's what they did. And they incorporated all those fixes. And one thing too, like this is already out on consoles. I mean, this just shows you how quickly it can be developed on Unreal Engine. They're out on PS4. They're out on Xbox One. And it's exactly the same experience between all those platforms.
Yeah. I mean, see, this is the problem this is the problem I see. The people making these claims and stuff have no concept of business, no concept of the fluidity of the situation between the providers and the there's just no, they have no experience. I mean, Epic would be
Yeah.
beyond stupid to hinder sales of Battlegrounds. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So,
and I don't think they will. Hanny was bringing up, there's some UK developer that's making a cutting edge MMO tactical shooter on UE4 and Spatial OS. Spatial OS is that one that allows people to add multiple servers together.
oh yes, the engine
That's
that we
where
haven't
I
seen
think they
anything
may.
from.
Yeah, I mean, there's very, very little out on it yet. That's where I think that maybe them saying, okay, do we want to bring similar technology in house as what Spatial OS? Because maybe Spatial OS will flop. When we haven't seen very much out on it yet.
No,
it might be more pie in the sky theory that doesn't actually work in practice. I think that's where Epic would come in and say, all right, well, let's make one so that we can handle tons of servers all grouped together and do it ourselves. I mean, that's what I think they would be going for, because I think their goal is only to be the top engine of choice between all games, console or PC. I don't think that, I mean, even on mobile games, you can make mobile games, you can make console games, and you can make PC games. And if your game takes off, they get a percentage. You give them a percentage of your sales. So their only goal is to make as much money from all of you making games and not them making games.
oh yeah.
So anyways, I don't think there was anything else. Yeah, I think that was pretty much it for
A long PUBG discussion, but I think it's important to have.
Yeah, and I think, but that's the thing is that Epic has been so open about it, and they listed very well their updates and saying exactly how it's going to benefit. I think that if anything, and I'm assuming that one of the reasons they put out that article was just to kind of calm people on the idea that for some reason they're trying to compete or do something backhanded against Bluehole, and that just doesn't make any sense to me.
And again, even if they were, I don't care. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Like they can. If, for example, if Epic today decided that they wanted to stop providing Bluehole the license to use the engine, they could, and they'd have the right to. Of course, they would never. They would never do that, but they could. They absolutely could. They could tell Bluehole to go screw off.
But if they were sitting there and let's say I'm not saying Bluehole's doing this, but if Bluehole was doing what kind of these people were hinting at, and then starting to totally trash Epic and say Epic's treating us unfairly, Epic's screwing us over. If they kept on saying that, Epic would have every right to say, all right, we're going to pull your license. You're trashing the company that's providing you with an engine.
Yeah, to hell with you.
And you're talking like we're harming you in some way. Go make it on another engine.
Yeah.
And I think that they would have the right, as you said, they would have the right to do that. I mean, that would be a huge thing, and people would have to worry about the trust of the engine. I don't see them ever doing that.
No, never. Because there's business, and they have a bottom line, and businesses, well-run businesses, and most businesses in general don't do things that go against their best interest. And in this case, the best interest of Epic is to have Battlegrounds continue to grow by hundreds of thousands of players a week, because it is in the general best interest of them. I mean, there's just that's my whole point with making this argument. These people making these claims don't know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, they're just so disconnected from the reality of how situations actually work. I mean, it's just how business actually works.
They don't, but the thing is, they don't even understand Bluehole or Epic's relationship with Bluehole and Bluehole's relationship with Epic. I mean, you don't realize how hand in hand they actually are. But that's the thing is they are working together on this, and there is probably a very good support system for Bluehole. If they have a problem, they go to Epic and say, we're having this limitation. And as you can see, I mean, they're enough of a market share for Epic that they would probably be willing to do anything to make it work.
Yeah.
So I think that they're both in very good situations. And I think that this was a lot of the gaming. I actually, when I was doing some research, I came across some random blog, and it was just like, it was trying to look like a legitimate website, but it was saying, "Oh, the
Infection Podcast."
PUBG is just, it's starting to tank, and like they're losing all these players." And I was like, "What do you? This is like a fake blog. Like, This
news.
article makes no sense with reality. I'm looking at the stats right here. It's talking about how they're losing all these players. Like, what are you talking about? So there's some weird, like, people just trying to spread misinformation and create some false
just smear campaign
rivalry that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like, what's the point of writing fake news?
Somebody's peddling this. And I think
why though? I don't get it. Like, what's the point? Who?
Well, I can tell you who, Brian. It's the uninformed internet. It's Reddit. It's Twitter. I
just don't see what their benefit is.
They're not benefit of anything. It's internet drama. This is what people live on.
Yeah.
People love to watch pissing matches back and forth, and that's what they're trying to drum up. And Epic and Bluehole have such the relationship. If we had we should try to get Brandon on the show to talk about this, because I guarantee you, if Brandon was sitting with us right here on this call, Brian, he would say our relationship with Epic is unbelievable.
No,
it's
they have been so. I mean, I can almost say what he's going to. They have been incredibly supportive. Whatever else goes from there. I can't imagine, and I've heard nothing from him saying it. It's just. And that's kind of the thing is people go on Reddit and they start to post, oh, this is so bad, or they go on Twitter. I don't think it exists. From everything, I saw that one article and I've been trying to follow it up where, is it possible that there's anything underhanded? I don't see anything underhanded happening. And I don't think that Bluehole is missing out on any sales because of Fortnite.
They're not. They're not. People aren't like, oh man, the better battle royale alternative. Like, you're gonna buy, if you're interested in that game, you're gonna buy both. I mean, that just seems like a stupid thing anyway. So there you go. That's what's going on. Just stupid internet drama. People don't understand how businesses work and common goals for business. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yep. And we'll see if anything comes out of it, but I really don't think.
No,
I don't really think anything will come out of it.
Yeah, but seriously though, Battlegrounds better watch themselves.
The story's going to die
because they better not just continue sitting up here. Well, and they really haven't done a whole lot to this point, but they better not let this internet drama get to them and start attacking Epic, because Epic would, Epic would have the absolute right, and almost would be interesting to see them pull the license from Bluehole if they just started trashing them publicly. Which again, I don't think they will.
Yep.
But I mean, I'd be all for Epic doing that if Bluehole just went on a full on attack campaign on Epic.
I think there's enough like marketing professionalism.
Oh yeah, these are companies.
Bluehole. There was no way they would do that.
No, not a chance.
They're not going to be influenced by Reddit, and they're not going to be influenced by whatever.
We've seen it happen before.
We've seen it before. With Daybreak, it's a little bit different of a story.
And I wasn't giving any names. I don't know.
I never said that Daybreak wouldn't do it. So,
okay.
Anyways, all right. So let's go ahead and let's roll for this game. All right, Nissan. Amnon has won. Do you think he'll play it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. So yeah, Amnon, I will send you a link. Congratulations, and we will.
If not, I'll take it off his hands.
Yeah. Firebomb says rig. That's Pirate Pop Plus.
I'll take it off his hands. If he doesn't play it, I'll take it off his hands. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
That's not my account, by the way. People think it is. It's not. So it's our good friend Amnon.
No.
So.
No, actually, I know Amnon, so that's why we always talk about it.
I was at Amnon's house this weekend up in Raleigh.
Personally.
Yeah, he's a real. He exists. Let's see.
All right, so there was an update for King of the Kill. We've been talking a lot about King of the Kill.
Yeah, let's.
But yesterday they came out with a 10.9 update. Now, one thing they announced in here: there's less than 2 weeks before the H1Z1 Invitational at TwitchCon.
Brian and I will be live at TwitchCon.
Yeah, they're going to fly us out. I'm sure that'll be exactly how it happens.
Yeah. You just get a certified mail. We've been watching San Francisco.
I'm sure the letters are late. You moved, and so you missed the letter for our invitation and our plane tickets.
And the hats and all the other merch.
No, they're the merch that's getting lost in the mail. It's probably in Canada somewhere. The wrong address. So one thing they noted in here is they're not planning on making any major changes to the core gameplay due to TwitchCon. I mean, they don't want to go through and make changes that all of a sudden makes the game different when they go, because players are training and prepping for that tournament. One thing they said is they improved the smoke grenades obscuring of players and objects. They open the inventory window while running no longer briefly stops your character. Aim point should be be more consistent when aiming down sights as you exit cover. The items are now equipped via double click, while auto running should no longer occasionally be unequipped, which I never saw that bug. Actions performed immediately after throwing are no longer prevented or interrupted. Throws should no longer be rejected like duds by quickly switching weapons after a throw, then switching back and trying to throw again. Number of throwables shown in inventory is now always correct. Priming a throwable while inside of a vehicle will no longer cause it to be immediately thrown upon exiting the vehicle. Players can no longer swap seats while a throwable is primed. Throw preview arc is now more accurate when throwing. It seems like they're focusing a lot on grenades and Molotovs and things.
Oh, yeah.
Just more accurate when throwing to the side of a vertical object, such as a building. Leaving a match no longer cause any smoke grenades you've thrown to despawn before their timer runs out. Also applies to gas grenades and Molotovs. And so if you look at that, pretty much that whole list up, was that pretty much almost, there was maybe one or two things in there. That was pretty much all throwables fixes.
Yeah, and as stupid as some people may see that, throwables are
it can be embarrassing in a tournament when a throwable doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
If you remember, you probably don't remember. No, I'm sure most people don't remember. Man Pawns, when he played in was it the Invitational last year? I think it was. Whatever event he played in with H1Z1, I don't remember if it was the Invitational or it was the Invitational. He was using the bow with the explosive arrows and throwables, and the commentators were taken aback by the fact that, wow, I've never seen anybody use these before.
Use them so efficiently.
Well, it's because they're impossible to use efficiently. They're useless. You throw them. In my opinion, PUBG's got the same issue. The throwables are a little bit better, but for the most part, I don't go to throwables because I understand that if I go to a throwable, now my gun is gone and somebody's going to pop around the corner and just blow me away. So
and you get stuck in an animation and it's just it's dangerous.
It's just it's not, now I could see if you're trying to throw something far, I can understand maybe a throwable, but do you grenade houses in PUBG? No, because that's not where most people's minds go. They go, oh my god, we got to clear this house. Some people do. The smokes are nice.
I think they should work on that though. I think they should really get it seamless, because remember when you could bust the door and then you'd see people throwing a grenade into the hole in the door? Like that takes too much to make that happen right now. You know what I'm saying? Like you bust it, there's people who do it, but it doesn't feel natural. And I think if they could get the situation to where, all right, you shoot a hole in, you seamlessly throw a grenade in there, and make it all part of the gameplay. But I think that they have a ways to go before that feels natural. I think it probably maybe throwables feel a little more natural in King of the Kill, personally.
I would agree with that.
You don't get stuck in that long throwing arc where it's like, oh, I'm stuck in this, I can't eject out of it, and then it takes like 2 seconds, or actually it's probably only a second real time.
Feels like
to throw it,
feels
which
like
is a long time. It feels like forever. Yeah.
Especially when somebody's running for you and you're just running with a grenade.
You're stuck in this stupid throwing animation. And they're killing you. You get halfway through and they shoot you, but it's got to finish the animation. So it finishes it and then you're drop dead. So that's how it was originally.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the throwables in these games. They're not seamless. They don't flow well. Every time I've used them, it just ends in me dying. Or now what I will tell you is, the smoke grenades, the smoke grenades in PUBG are great, especially towards the end of the game. If you're behind a set of trees and your enemy's behind a set of trees and you need to move, throw 3 or 4 smokes in different directions, totally kind of juke them out. That's great, but those aren't throwables. I'm talking grenades, mollies. They have a stun grenade as well. That stuff. And I just have very rarely either find it used against me or I use it against somebody else. Very, very rare that it happens. But when it does, it's useful.
And one thing to keep in mind with the smoke grenades on PUBG, and I'm assuming it's probably very similar on H1Z1, but the smoke that you see, that's a local effect. Now they try to match that effect as much as possible, but the smoke that you see building up, it's not
server
networked
side?
in the same way that you would think.
Interesting.
It's not done truly server side because that they can't truly
It's too
predict that
much.
smoke and
Yeah.
send that information. So they try to just match the same type of effect in both places. So
Interesting.
keep in mind, the smoke that you see may be a little bit different than the smoke that the other player sees. So if you think, oh, I'm gonna go right to the edge of this smoke and you do all this fancy stuff, you may just be running out in the open in front of someone and you
somebody
think
else's
you're
screen.
covered
Yeah.
up in the smoke. Yeah,
That's
so
an
just
interesting
keep that in
tip
mind. Maybe play it a little bit safer in smoke so that you don't run the risk of being in the visible area of it. Stay more inside of it if you're trying to run through the smoke. That's all I have to say. That's my main point with it is you don't, because I understand the networking behind it. For them to try to make the billows of smoke and be like, oh, there's a little bit of puff of smoke coming out here, and then it's sending all that data back and forth. Anytime someone would throw a smoke grenade, it would lag out that client. So they don't do that. It is local, and they just try to match it.
Gotcha.
All right.
We do have
in here. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we've got some. We'll move on to Just Survive. You good with that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So we do have some Just Survive stuff here as well. And this is a Just Survive test server update. And this is actually a pretty significant update. We probably need to jump back in this sometime soon. They've added Resolution Ridge, which is the northwest quadrant of the map, into the game. With this second ridge, now we have the second military base. I believe, they haven't said this, but I believe there's going to be 4 bases. There's going to be 1 in each quadrant, ideally 4 quadrants.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be more. I don't know. So now there are 2 military bases for you to spawn at. They've added fast travel via helicopter in the military base. This uses 500 of your Golden Eagle coins. I'm going to stop on that.
Is that between military bases?
Correct. Yeah. So
I would assume.
So it's kind of like Ark's fast travel, except it's just between essentially 4 bases is what you're going to have at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, so this would possibly allow them to. So when you die, will you be able to pick where you respawn? That's one question.
Well, yeah. Well, so we have this
And
in
that's
the
what
game
they're
right
doing
now.
right now.
Well, they have
right?
3 things. You can spawn at. No, they have 2 things. You can spawn at a military base, which will be one of the 4, or if you have a base, a bed, or your stronghold.
Okay,
Those are your options.
Hanny and PH are pointing out you can pretty much, with this, you can pick anywhere on the map. So you're picking a spot on the grid somewhere, and that helicopter will take you to that exact place.
Interesting.
And so I'm kind of curious on how this would work with. This could create some interesting concepts in the game of your base is getting attacked. It's going to take you a while to get there. You all run to the military base and you all fly to your base that's being raided, right? And then you're able to protect it. I mean, I think that's what they're probably essentially going for, is that if people are around the map looting, they go to their nearest military base, fly back to their base to be able to protect their base.
That makes sense. I mean, obviously, you can just spawn at your base, ideally. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it says it's still random on the grid, but you can get pretty close to your base if you want. So it's probably you select somewhere, select a grid, one part of the grid, and then it puts you in a random spot. Similar, kind of like what Ark does.
Yeah,
Ark does a very similar thing.
Yeah, I think that's stupid though. I'm not. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, you talk about like simplifying the game to a point. The map isn't even that big.
No,
I mean that just seems ridiculous. Added tier 3 and tier 4 weapons. They go through all of the different weapons that they've added, tier 3 and tier 4. If you're interested, you can go ahead and read through all those. They added this stronghold tab for viewing building limits and raid history, which is cool. And they added basic clan support, Brian, which includes ranks,
finally,
which is good, grouping and voice chat, which is basic clan support, I guess. Hopefully they continue to, I don't know, implement. They need to
do a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
They need a whole bunch.
This is a very clan centric game. I mean,
literally.
This game is all about clans, and that's always been something that's very, very poorly done in the game. So I think if they can actually make real clan support that feels natural, have have it to where you can see all your players. You're not having to invite to groups, and then you have the group limit and all this stuff. I think they should have done this a long time ago. I think this should have been what it should have been one of the first things that they did was implementing
Yeah,
True, because we've been
absolutely.
asking for it for years. If I remember correctly, we've been asking for this for years.
Oh no, absolutely. And the fact that it's not is, in my opinion, just a little ridiculous. But nevertheless, that is now is basic clan supporters in the game. As I said, the tab to view building limits and raid history. Added player constructed door locks, limit 2 per player. And that's for in-game. That's for you. That's for you to lock the doors as an individual player. And then just a whole bunch of other stuff that they fixed and worked on. They added military and police zombie variants, higher tier chest and leg clothing, improved storage capabilities, and NPC damage reduction. The wolf now behaves differently. It's more natural, they say, for the move, attack, and retreat. Shacks and shack door repair damage. Repair damage over time. Shacks and doors do not regenerate if fully destroyed. So that's not part of the stronghold system.
Yeah.
So that allows you to do that, which is
Now,
good.
one thing, I mean, they added a ton of weapons into this. And
Yeah,
I wonder
they
if
did.
these are just all variants. These are like probably like those kind of like epic variants, the higher quality versions of their existing weapons is what it looks like. So I mean, they have like the 44 Magnum, but the Viper, the 44 Magnum 18-K, the 380 DZ Tech. It just looks like, were they different skins? I mean, are these skin guns? Or are they going to have
these are the different tiered.
better? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're going to have better.
Well, yeah, these are
damage.
the tier 2 and tier 3. So yeah, there's going to be different things with them. These are higher tier than regular guns.
So I'm assuming that they'll last longer.
Yeah, they'll probably have
more
the higher
durability to them.
more ammo, more. I mean, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff they can do with them, but it's just the different tiered weapon system.
No.
So I have a fear that they're over complicating what the whole concept here. Like I think Hanny said. It seems like they're trying to make more of an RPG direction than rather sandbox survival. I just think they're adding too much. Like all they really, I'm gonna be.
I mean, do you think? I think he's right though. I think they've almost just decided we're not doing an open world survival anymore.
Well, that's fine. But like, it seemed like all they would need to do to satisfy me at least would be a good base building system with a clan system. I think they've already got the good base building. The modular base system, in my opinion, it works. It's good. The clan system.
I mean, they can improve it.
Yeah,
but
it's good. It's a good
concept.
It's a very good platform to start with. The clan system I haven't seen, but I would imagine they couldn't. I mean, I don't know how bad they could have screwed that up. So they've got the clan system in there. Other than that, I mean, the melee, of course, is important. I mean, that's pretty much it. Again, if you're trying to build a survival
work on that. I mean, they did improve the melee system, 6 months ago or something like that, making it to where they actually recoded the whole melee system.
Yeah,
I think 6 months ago.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
and so that
they
was
don't
something they actually worked on.
They don't need a whole bunch of. They don't need a million things. They just need some basics.
Do you think they may be going a little bit too far with this?
Yes.
I mean,
yes, I do.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, I think that I don't think the guys that are making this don't have the same vision that original Daybreak had or Sony Online had with Smedley. And if you look at what this is versus what Smedley put forward, not even close to the same games anymore.
No.
So I think these guys said, well, here's what we see as a successful game. And I think that this is just them going for that. I mean, we'll see what happens. But the game that we were sold, this is not the game we were sold.
No.
If this is a fun game to play, I'm more than happy to play it. But I don't feel obligated to say, oh well, I have to play this game because this is the H1Z1. This is a new game, nothing like the original game that we bought 3 years ago, almost, right? I think it was 3 years ago.
Yeah. About 3 weeks. Yeah, about three.
So
years.
I mean, we'll see if it's no fun, then I'll be like, okay, well, I don't feel obligated to play it. But if they can make something that's actually enjoyable, I'd be happy to play it. it's a different game. So we'll see. I mean, I have no idea what it's going to end up being like.
And I think this is important, Brian, and I'll put words into your mouth because I'm going to. Different doesn't mean different is not a synonym for bad. Different is just different. It's not. You're not saying it in a good way. You're not saying it in a bad way. It's just different. Different is different.
Yeah, it's going to be different, and I'll view it as a fresh set of eyes when I go to play that game. You know, is this game fun for what it is? Not is this game fun for being a zombie survival open world, you know, whatever. They've just made a totally different game because the first one flopped, right? I mean, the first one failed.
Oh yeah.
And so they started over and said, well, let's try to make a different game. And I think that that's what they've tried to done. And if it's a fun game to play, then we'll play it. But it's never going to be the game. Like people keep saying, go back to Z1.
Oh God Almighty!
You know,
Give me a break.
I mean, that game already failed. It's already done.
This is what we're talking about. Z1. Really, that's where people want to go. Z1. Oh, yep. See, this is the problem though, and this is my issue with the gaming community and Reddit and all this other stuff. The memory is so short term. Brian, I remember Z1. You remember Z1. Z1 was garbage. It was rampant hacking. Everybody was hacking. The Chinese would come onto these servers and wipe them clean, steal everything you had over and over and over again. Buildings were constructed all over the place. When you used to drive, if you hit an arrow, your car would explode because arrows would be floating in the middle of the streets. Buildings would be blocked off by player-built structures. Z1.
Do you remember the huge structures? They had the bases that were like 100 times the normal size, and like hackers were spawning in objects at 100 times the normal
candles
size.
were being spawned in. They looked like silos. I mean,
candles were the size of a water tower.
Like, really, this is what people want. That's the kind of garbage people want to go back to. But it's always the same thing. If they implemented Z1 right now with all of its issues, people would go to the Daybreak headquarters and burn it down. It's the short-term memory.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's look at this a different way for people that are like, oh, I miss the old way. One reason to do progression is because it does actually thwart hackers. Because hackers tend to have throwaway accounts, very short accounts. And if you create a system that has progression in it, that has something to where when you start out, you're different than when you've been playing for months. And Ark is a perfect example of this. A person can go into Ark and hack, right? They could fly around and do kinds of stuff, but they're not going to be able to be as competitive against someone who's a level 80 person with tons of dinosaurs, because there's a set of progression in between. The problem that we had with H1Z1 is that there was no progression.
No.
A hacker in 2 minutes with ESP and going and picking up the right objects was in exactly the same spot as you were when you've been playing for a month and a half. You may have a base, but it doesn't matter. They could go break the door in and just take all your stuff. They didn't need a base. So I think that this progression system, part of it is trying to create a system that there's less benefit of hacking in. Players aren't instantly equal when they get on the server and find a sniper rifle and some body armor, which it was before. Here, if a hacker comes on, they'll have a low quality weapon, and you probably don't find these instantly. These are rare. So they're not going to instantly have the top weapons of every type. I think that that's the goal, is to create more and more of a progression system. And if that's what it takes, because they don't have any real anti-hack protections in their engine, I don't think there's anything they can do. So I think this is the only avenue they have left, is just to create enough progression between a person who's been on the server long enough and a hacker coming in and with a new fresh account. That's the only protection they have, because as we've seen with King of the Kill and this, zero protections against hacking.
Yeah, no.
Hackers can come in and do whatever they want in Forge Life. And these guys know they're not going to change it. They can't they're not going to be able to get Daybreak to fix that. mean, if they haven't fixed it for King of the Kill when they were making all that money, they're not going to fix it for Just Survive.
Yeah.
So,
you got me.
So,
I don't know what else
I mean,
to say.
there's no happy stuff to say. I mean, that's just what it is.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Sorry to be Debbie Downer.
Well, but it's unfortunate.
I mean, it's an upside. At least you see that. I think that's why they're doing it. I mean, that is the upside of it. Is they're like, well, we can't stop it being the way it was, but all we can do is just change it and try it a new way and put in some stuff in the future that will be less hacker prone.
Oh yeah,
and this is it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having the system to where if you go in and you teleport into a base, it starts a timer. I mean, how is that not anti-cheater? It starts a timer that then kicks you out and doesn't let you go into the base for a certain period of time more.
Yeah. I
mean, you can't, hackers just can't go in and spend time taking in all your stuff. They have a timer. Oh, a hacker can only steal your stuff for 1 minute. I mean, that's pretty much what it comes down to now. So
it is,
all right.
It's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it'd be interesting to see where the game status is, because this is a pretty big update that they did. It'll be interesting to see 6 months from now where they're at.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that'll be the thing is where are they at 6 months from now? What improvements have they made? Because this is a pretty big patch list. And if they can come out with a couple more of these, the game will have enough to where it'd be worth taking another shot and taking a look and see what they've changed.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely.
So
I agree with you.
Do you want to move on to Friday the 13th, since that's our game of the week?
It is our game of the week. And yes, we've got some new stuff out of Friday the 13th. They have, they've been keeping it up.
They got their update. Yeah. And so far, I mean, we may have to eat our words. I mean, if they come out with all this stuff by, was it Halloween? I think we said.
Yeah, whatever the roadmap is. Well, they have to do. I think there was 7.
Yeah, Halloween is. They have to reach that roadmap mark by Halloween.
Well, they had Halloween on. So I think there were 7 objects. I think they had to do 6 out of the 7. I believe is what we wanted. And again, there's specific things. For example, they said added new counselors with an S. Adding 1 counselor does not count. That's not a counselors. That's a counselor. So.
Yeah,
and they put
Firebomb's getting excited.
I'm excited too. Here's the thing: if they
turned around, if they totally booted themselves,
that'd be fantastic. I'd make off like a bandit. I'd love to play the game.
Yep.
It would benefit
the only
me.
reason I didn't like Friday the 13th is because of how poor of a job they were doing developing it. If they've learned their lessons and they've turned around and now are actually meeting their goals and producing content that's not super buggy, more power to them. And so far, they've been putting out content much faster than they ever did before. So one thing, they put out a tweet that was on the 8th. So this was 2 days ago, with some images of the new Jarvis house and, an area around Crystal Lake. Yeah. And so they have some buildings and inside the buildings, which actually does look more detailed.
It does. There's a lot of stuff in here. This looks good, Brian. This is a very compelling internal image. Would you agree?
And if you think this probably matches very closely to the movie, and that seems to be that would make total sense to me, that they're going in and putting in all these things that are very, very close to what the movie, because that's what people really want to see. The people that are fans of this game, they want to be like, oh, that's the picture that was on the wall. I want to go up and look at it because that was in the background of these movies that these movies that I love. I want to go look at this little detail. Oh, this fan looks so cool. It looks just like in the movie. That's what they want to see. And I don't think the old ones, if you would have taken the old maps that they had and you went into those cabins, I really doubt that they were identical to this detail.
Oh yeah.
I think that this, I think even if maybe they'll later go in and put more of that detail in the cabins and things, but this is the kind of detail I think that the fans are really aiming for.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And this for me is like, okay, well this would more likely make me want to go and view the movies to see the correlation between the two. Where with the cabins, I'm like, that's not what it looks like in the movie. I have no interest. Like I didn't see anything that really caught my eye and was like, I wonder why that's in there. I wonder what this is. Yeah. It was just a cabin.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. So, and then there's actually a video that's the teaser for this. I think it's only like 43 seconds. So
It is.
If we want to get that,
Yeah.
get that rolling. It's pretty short.
So again, if you are interested in actually, even if you're not interested, we will be playing Friday the 13th this Friday, which actually happens to be Friday the 13th. So you can join us in Discord, 7 p.m. Eastern. Or excuse me, 9 p.m. Eastern in our Discord. Now you've got me all screwed up, Brian.
Yeah, you're on
9 p.m.
Mountain
Eastern
Time
in our
again.
Discord. We are going to be playing Friday the 13th, and here is their new trailer for the new Jason and the Jarvis map collection. It's free, and it unlocks at level 44.
Price free.
Yeah, price
My
free.
favorite price.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it seemed like that Jason was moving faster than the previous Jasons. Is that
I couldn't really tell. How much
it
of that is
just
the video?
seems like it's.
It did. I think you're right. It definitely
it seemed like it.
it did. The question is that a
Is it in game? Is it actually going to be faster?
yeah, exactly.
And what about that kill animation? That's I think that's a new one for this.
The
I don't
crotch
remember
shot.
that. Yeah, pretty much chopping him half from each side. So definitely, yeah, I wouldn't want to be killed that way. So I don't want to be killed anyway, but especially not that way.
No, that definitely does not seem to be a good way to go.
So what they'll be doing is the double XP weekend. So if you're caring about getting points to be able to buy abilities and things like that in the game, this will be the double XP weekend. So they'll have the new Jason 4, the Jarvis house map, new counselor Rain. Now, is that the name? Fire Mom will have to answer. Is that the name of the counselor, or will there be Rain? I think the name of the counselor is Rain. That shows you how much I know about Friday the 13th.
Let me tell you, that is a counselor. Their roadmap specifically called for counselors. That does not pass the test.
Yeah. Well, but we'll see if they do another one in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely. Well,
yeah, he says that this one will run, but he doesn't have shifts, so he can't do that portal. So he'll run faster, but he can't port. So,
well, that's interesting.
That's what I like about having the definite benefit, and that's where we talked about before. They got to be careful about not having a paid benefit. If this is the strongest, this one's free, right? But if they come out with another one that's the strongest Jason, if you look at him and people play and they're like, oh, that's obviously, whatever one they make them pay for in the future. If they come out and say that's the strongest Jason, then they're going to have a problem on their hands. As long as they keep offering these for free, I don't care if this is the strongest Jason, everybody can play it. But I think they got to be careful not to have some ability that makes it the better Jason when then they go turn around and say, all right, but you have to pay $5 for it.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah. So,
be interesting to say the least.
So, okay. So rain is weather. All right. So it's new counselor and they're having rain in game. I just want to make sure
I think we saw the rain.
Name wasn't rain. Yeah. Well, in that video it was raining. So
gotcha.
I'm assuming it'll be something similar to that. And then Mitch Floyd, is that the new, that's the new outfit. I'm trying to think. Is it Mitch Floyd? Is that the new character? So I think that's the character. He's like a Cheech and Chong style character.
Okay.
Looks like a pot smoker. So
very judgy.
Hey, if you would agree, if you scroll down on that post,
I saw it.
You can see a picture of him. Yeah. So that's Mitch Floyd. He looks like, I don't remember if it's Cheech or Chong. I think it's Chong.
Hey man,
from the movies. I don't remember.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yep, that's him. So you can have different varied tie-dyes. So that'll be Friday. They'll have it on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Steam for the double XP weekend. Which if they roll this out seamlessly, that's already a step up from previous stuff they've done. So I think that's great.
There you go.
All right. So another game that we've been following is a game called Scum. and that's one that's going to be kind of you're a prisoner, and there's some sort of a story behind it, but it's you're a prisoner character, has some pretty unique movement and movement things, and like fist fighting and different mechanics in it.
Mm-hmm.
But they put out some new screenshots, so I figured we just could run through some of the screenshots and see what you think. This is this looks like a normal what it would look like in engine. Doesn't look like it's polished in any way. Looking at it, it just looks like a normal shot, which I always worry about with some games, and we've talked about it, to where they're trying to get something that doesn't look realistic to what you're going to get in game. This looks to me like you just went to a spot on the map and said, here's a screenshot of this, where they put clutter and everything. The next one, you can see it's an open field. Still, I think it looks good. Enough variety. This is going to be an open world type of a game. Let's see. Next one, you could see just inside of a town.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks run down enough. Everything kind of matches. One more looks like another angle from that same town. So that's just some of the new screenshots for Scum, and they've had a few videos kind of showing the fist fighting and some of the different things with the characters, but I'm now in their Discord, so I kind of watch for when they start having updates and release dates and things like that. But this might be one of those games that soon we'll be talking about and going over the updates for.
Oh, absolutely. The screenshots look impressive. I would just say to everybody, this isn't specifically towards this game, but just be wary. Screenshots are screenshots. I've got
Yep.
my
Doesn't
memory.
mean the game is great.
My memory goes back far enough to remember screenshots and screenshots and screenshots. So just be aware that what you see is not necessarily what you get. So just be aware of that.
Yep. Very good. All right. And so another one that we've been following. What do you want to do?
I was going to say, do you want to announce our giveaway?
Let's go ahead. So let me get it ready. Well, let's go on, and then I got to get the links up for it.
Okay, so go ahead.
So there's the Darwin Project. They actually put out a new patch, and one thing that they changed. This is the one that at PAX was one of our early on interviews.
Yes,
and it's a kind of a similar thing. There's overpopulation of the world, and so they're taking prisoners and having them compete, pretty much for their freedom, I think. And this is one where we really liked the gameplay that we saw. Nick and I can play every Thursday. They always have tests on Thursdays.
They still doing those?
We just never make it to the tests. Yep, they're still doing them. So we need to pick a day and we could go in there and do it. But one thing that they're changing is they're now having it to where there's 12 players in each match. So before, I think it was like 6 probably, but now they've got 12 players, and they're going to do it, expanding the number of players on that map, which I think it'll handle fine. And they've added a number of different special abilities for the character, so we'll have to go in there and try playing it again. And they thank people in this announcement, just saying, hey, thank you for all the people that come out, because they've got a decent number of people that come out every Thursday and help them to test the game and figure out, because the developers actually play with you and they try to find what problems or the bugs or whatever they can find to improve the game every week. So,
and we will.
Yep. So that's pretty much 12 players is the main thing that they announced, and Nick and I will have to pick a time maybe when he has a Thursday free, and we'll get a couple rounds in.
Oh, absolutely. And it is this game has some serious potential. I mean, it's just that there is some serious potential for this game to go big. I mean, unfortunately I say unfortunately, it's not unfortunate, but unfortunately Battlegrounds is so popular that it may hinder this, even though this game is very different from Battlegrounds, very, very different. It's a little bit, actually, it's probably a little more like Fortnite than it is Battlegrounds.
Yeah, it is. Especially artistic wise. I mean, it's very similar to Fortnite.
Yeah. So obviously looking forward to this. Met up with them at PAX. Hopefully we get to see more from them in the future. They seem very dedicated. We get their emails every once in a while. And they're sending out press releases and stuff like that. So That's the Darwin
Yep.
Project.
And they're always offering. We could always play. I mean, we can always play every Thursday. So
we need to get them on. We need to get someone from them on the show. Probably not a bad idea.
I'm sure we could.
Yeah, they loved us at PAX.
Yep.
They
were very nice.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say it, Brian. We were the OGs with the Darwin Project. They were just in this little tiny booth. Nobody's paying attention to us, to them. Brian, Lance, myself, and the Infection crew rolls up. We got the camera, we got the lights, we got the microphone. It's hopping. I'm not.
Yeah, and then people saw us. That's the thing. That's the interesting thing about that. They were in the little booth on the side. We started setting up all our equipment to do that interview. People then started gathering around.
And I'm not trying to sound like a jerk. I'm being dead serious. When we showed,
I'm not saying because they're like, oh, Infection's interviewing him. That's not what he's
saying. It's just because people see cameras and lights, and it attracts like, oh, something interesting has to be going on over there. And in fact, it was. It was a very interesting game, is what was going on.
But people were ignoring them because it was just, 6 computers. It was the smallest booth size that you could possibly get, and it was pretty much the whole thing was just filled with 6 computers and an announcer. So,
very interesting.
Yep. All right, so let's go and do this last one. Exclamation point giveaway in chat. I'm going to be giving a copy of Alien Isolation away. And so this is a really good spooky, scary style games. One of those
my favorite
survival horror, sci-fi alien stealth game based on the Alien set of films. Very good game. I've played it quite a bit. I played it outside of Steam, so I've only played in 1.3 hours inside of Steam, but I've played probably about 3/4 of the game through, and a very interesting game, beautiful graphics, a lot of fun. So, exclamation point giveaway, and we will give away a copy of Alien Isolation.
Absolutely, you can enter for that, and we'll be giving that away here in just a couple of minutes.
Yes. All right. So, another one is Hurt World, and they put out. This is one that, man, it's been growing. They've been adding more. It's had a really weak release.
Do you own this?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think I do. Oh, wait, yes, I do. This was a Humble Bundle game.
Yeah, it was a Humble Bundle at some point.
I do own this. Sorry.
And so they went through. They've been adding different clothing and weapons variations for looks, and trying to make, because that's one thing, is the game was very plain before. And so they've been trying to get some more visual variety into the game, because it was like a desert game, just a lot of the same colors and same look. So they've been going through and adding to that. Items with internal storage, like items that can take attachments, can now be inspected through a new right-click context menu. Weapon attachments can now be configured for the AR-15 and the AWM rifle. Now they made it so like they changed the friction system for the bunny hop friction, and now it can set to on or off on the server, so you could change that. They also made it so roaches can now spawn with doors in the right attachment slot. Improve subframe primary input detection to make it easier for single fire automatic weapons. And then this is the ray drill has been reintroduced and simplified by removal of the coolant mechanic. So and there's a couple other small fixes, but this is one where if you don't play it, if you haven't played it for, like, we haven't played it as a group, I think for at least 6 months.
Oh, it's probably longer than that. It's been a while.
Probably longer than that, but they've gone through just over time, seeing all these different changes. It would probably be a very different game if we went and played it now. I mean, they got dirt bikes and their guns look totally different than when we played. I think they've improved it quite a bit.
Absolutely.
And I think we may have I think we have this on our list at some point to go back and play it.
Yeah.
So we will have to go in and do that.
For sure.
All right. And then Unturned, they actually have some new changes for this. They actually added in a dirt bike to Unturned.
Okay.
And then, so that's going to be something new. You can go in if you find a dirt bike around. So wherever you could find quads before, you can also find dirt bikes there. They offer similar advantages to the snowmobiles, but in non-snow environments. So they have snowmobiles, dirt bikes, quads, depending on the environment you're in. They added a can use bundles option to level config, and they added a time curated map mode option. And that's one thing that he did mention is he has been working to improve the game in general for these mods and extra maps that are coming in. They improved the arena loadouts to only auto-equip weapons and clothing. And this is for the new kind of a BR style game mode that they're most likely going to be bringing in here for an arena, which will bring a whole new element to this game. It's free to play. And so probably a lot of kids playing it, but we'll see.
It is what it is.
And then they fixed selecting decals in editor. So this week he says, I've been continuing work on the 4.x, particularly the server hosting automation. My goal is to be able to offer and maintain quite a few high quality 64-bit Linux official dedicated servers, which I like for the vanilla game. So he's trying to make it so people can host their own servers, and that is a fairly easy process. So that is 3.20.8.0 of Unturned.
Very, very cool. We'll be playing that game sometime sooner rather than later as well. It's a good game. It's tough. It's hard. You die a lot, but it's a fun game.
Well, it'd be fun to get people. Probably really enjoy the arena mode as well.
Oh, absolutely. So look forward to that sometime soon. We'll be jumping back into Unturned.
Now there's another one, the Forest. It's a huge list, and I'm not going to go through them all. But my main thing is I wanted to point out that they are really working on getting this game to launch and getting all the story and the whole thing wrapped up. On here, they have been improving some of the server stuff, which is kind of what's holding us back from really playing this as a group. It's because they're so inefficient with the server. But on here, there's probably about 4 pages of fixes that they've done here.
Yeah, a couple of pages here.
And a lot of it is multiplayer fixes. Also some single player fixes with and fixing stuff with the quests. But on here, if you want to check it out, we'll have a link to it. This is the 0.68 patch. After this, they did a couple of small patches, B, C, and D, which are just small fixes for that. But quite a few changes, a lot of fixes. And I think that this is them just trying to get it wrapped up. I know they want to release this, and they've been really working. They totally reworked the whole ending of the game and making it a better ending, more, I guess, having some depth, because before it was just kind of like, oh, the game's over. And the game, I think, became more popular than they expected.
Yeah.
And so they went through and actually made the ending have a little more meaning. So
there you go.
Yeah. So if you're interested in the Forest, and if they can get the server, like for instance, we didn't really bring it up too much today, but our dedicated server that we're wanting to get, I'd be able to spin up a VM to be able to run a weekend night of this game. So we'd actually be able to host it on our dedicated server, and I wouldn't have to leave my computer up running the game the whole time. People wanted to play.
A little more convenient.
Yep. And then as far as there's an Overwatch, so we are doing Overwatch, as we said, not this week.
Next Friday, the 20th.
Next week. And there's a video here for the new Halloween event that they're going to be doing.
Yes, and what I was going to say quickly with the Forest, if you want to read all of the notes, there's 4 updates here. If you want to read any of those updates, they're in the show notes, infectionpodcast.com for that. As are all
and
of the
it's
other
a ton of
notes
pages of it. I'm not going to go through all of them.
Absolutely. So here is the Overwatch video. It's quick. It's about a minute and a half, and we'll be back after that.
No doubt you've been wondering. You've been waiting all year to see if I'd return. Well, you've nothing to fear. Night falls once again, and the wind howls through. It's me, Dr. Junkenstein, and oh, how I've waited for you. Last Halloween we had our fun. You laid low, my monster, it's true. But I've learnt my lessons from before, and have a new surprise for you.
Gary!
So Come, dear heroes, come one and all, even those new to the fight. My army has grown from what you once knew. Will you survive the endless night? It keeps going and going and going. It'll never end.
All right, so that's the Overwatch event taking place between now, the 10th as you're watching this, and November 1st. It's the Overwatch Halloween Terror. Whole bunch of cool skins, whole bunch of new skins. So if you have Overwatch, obviously you're probably going to be jumping in.
And that's the thing with this. That's you saw those skins, all those different skins that they had in there. That's a lot of what you're trying to get.
That's the draw.
Yep, to be able to get the crates and to get the skins. So
Absolutely.
that's what we're going to be working towards.
For sure. All right.
You want to? We still have Rust. Do you want to do the Rust video and then we can, or do you want to skip that?
I would say we'll probably skip that. I think it's about 9 minutes long. So we'll probably skip the Rust video, but we obviously, like, the notes will be in here for that. Trying to think, is there anything else that we need to cover, or are we about good?
Nope, I don't think so. Just if you want to support the show, one thing you can do is donate for our official server, because we have a server that we host, and we want to be able to host more games on that server. So we have a fund for $400. We're at 42.5% of the way there. And what we'll be doing is once we get the $400, we will get a dedicated server that we can run at least 3 games on at any one time. And so if you want to donate to that, infectionpodcast.com/dedicated. If you want to do it during the show, it pops up and be able to thank you for that. But if you do it offline, you're more than welcome to go to the website and you'll be able to make a donation. And we appreciate everyone who's willing to donate.
Absolutely. infectionpodcast.com/dedicated is how you can jump in on that. Okay, so I guess we will jump into current players. I've just got a couple quick ones today. My tablet died, so unfortunately I don't have any audio. But playing H1Z1 King of the Kill, currently playing this 13,098, the 24-hour peak, 46,904 with the 7-day peak, 58,788. Ark Survival Evolved, currently playing this game, 31,428. The 24-hour peak, 49,140 with the 7-day peak of 66,564. And Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, currently playing this game, 310,950. The 24-hour peak, so 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, 1.9 million. 1,931,930 is the 24-hour peak, with a 7-day peak of so close to 1 million. Literally less than 10,000 away from 2 million.
Less than 6,500 away.
But I'm saying less than 10,000, which is insane because compared to last week. So, well, first, the 7-day peak is 1,993,691. And the reason I said less than 10,000 is because if we look at last week's numbers at the same time we were doing the show last week, Brian, there was 1,669,000. So you're talking 300,000 new concurrent players.
New players.
In the last week. And Gadlaw chipping in $30 there to get us halfway towards our dedicated server. We really appreciate it, Gadlaw.
Thank you very much, Gadlaw.
Where in the hell are 300,000? I guess they're coming from China.
People coming from?
They're coming from China, I guess. I mean,
it's half of them are, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's about the only answer at this point. 300,000 new players in the past week. So this will be over 2 million next week.
It's got to be. I mean, it would be a shock if it wasn't.
It will be. I mean, it's impossible.
It would be a big change in the trend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
We will if they don't reach 2 million by next week, then we can start talking about the decline of PUBG, because it would be impossible for them to gain less than 6,500 players in that amount of time when they just did 300,000?
Well, I would say if it's less than 1,993,691, then we can talk about the decline. It will be over. It's not even. I may actually launch it this weekend just to contribute to the cause. Contribute to the cause. I don't know what you want me to say. China number one.
I mean, it is incredible.
It is.
But this is the same thing when we had the huge jump in numbers in H1Z1, and we kept looking at each other and saying, where are these people coming from? How are there so many people playing H1Z1 when H1Z1 was hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it just keeps on more and more people playing, and it came down to China. China is it. China is that market that if you can tap it, there's just tons of people willing to play for whatever reasons. I mean, you can speculate on what the reasons are, but there are a lot of people in China that are willing to play a game. And, you know, any company that can get a foothold in there, like PUBG has, obviously, you know, there you go. There's 500,000 game sales for you.
There you
instantly.
Go. You got it.
So, and what is it? 14 million? Is it 14 million sales they've done so far?
Yes, I can.
I had it in one of my earlier graphs.
It is 14.9 million owners. So that's about that will cross
almost 15
million. That will
million.
cross 15 by next week as well. I mean, they're 6,000 short of 15. Yeah, that will absolutely close.
Yep. Pretty incredible.
Very exciting. Very exciting for things to come.
All right. So we'll go ahead and I'll do my tip of the week, and then we'll do the giveaway at the very, very end as the last thing. So,
okay.
All right. Tip of the week is where I go through, and either I'll give a general gaming tip or for a specific game. This week is going to be, since the hype's all there, PUBG.
Whoop.
This is tip of the week. Whoop, whoop.
The hype is real.
Yes. All right. So here's just a couple of little helpful suggestions that you can use in PUBG that maybe you didn't realize you could do. So one thing is to be more aggressive in your turning is can actually use a handbrake on the vehicle. So if you press space, that actually uses the handbrake and it'll let you do a more aggressive of a turn. Another thing that you can do, maybe you're on the motorcycle, and you can't do that in the car, and you can do it on the motorcycle. I don't know how the handbrake works on the motorcycle, but to control your motorcycle in the midair, so that this is something that changed from the original one. When you get up into the air on a motorcycle, you actually can hold down space and left control, and it lets you control the motorcycle in the air. Another thing, since we're talking about with King of the Kill a lot about grenades, here's a tip that might be able to help you. When you're throwing a grenade, if you left click, it actually rolls the grenade. So it does a faster underhanded throw of the grenade, not a full throwing animation. If you right click, that will do the actual throwing of the grenade. So if you want to just roll it on the ground, left click. If you want to throw it, right click for the grenades. And that is tip of the week. It's a couple of smaller tips, but
yeah, the small tip is a tip, Brian. I mean, it's tip of the week.
That was three. Firebomb, that was 3 tips. He says, tip of the week, I want 2. No, that's 3.
Firebomb really wants another tip of the week.
He wants one more tip. No, that was it. That's 3 tips. He said to one tip, he said he wanted 2, and he says, I want one more. That was 3. He got what he wanted. Just like his game, no one will ever be satisfied.
Jeez. Wow. that escalated quickly. I don't have anything to say to that.
All right. So let's go ahead and we'll roll for this final one. And congratulations, Jay Delore, long-time watcher and supporter of the show. Thank you very much. Yes, big-time fan of the show. And you will get a copy of Alien Isolation, a very good game, AAA game. So
congratulations.
Yep. Enjoy the game. All right. So if you want to find me on the internet at Boise Computer on Twitter, or you're more than welcome to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Of course, go to our website, infectionpodcast.com on the right-hand side. Go check out all of our links. We have our Steam group, which gives you notifications of when our show is going to go live and when we're starting our Friday night game nights. We have our Discord channel where you can chat throughout the week, maybe play different games with different people that maybe you hear their names as we go through the show. We talk about people that are in the chat. And also there's links to our YouTube and all of our podcast forums. So if you're wanting to support that, I encourage you. Also, more than welcome to go leave a review on any of those.
Yes, please.
Even if you hate us, you can go on there and say, we hate these guys. They're the worst.
Don't leave a negative review. I don't. We don't have enough reviews to have negative.
I thought any press was good press.
Well, yeah, but
there's a lot of it.
Yeah, but see, if there's like one good story and one bad story, the negative press is just as.
Oh yeah. Well, leave a couple good reviews and then you can leave a bad review.
Create a couple of Apple accounts or leave a bunch of great reviews, and then you can leave one negative review.
And then you will then you can leave your real opinion on the last one.
Thanks, Brian. You've really screwed us on that one.
Yep. Thanks. PH is going to get on top of that. He's like, "Oh, you want negative reviews?
I've got 15 iTunes accounts ready to go." Yeah. There you go.
Yep. All right. I think that's it for me.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. I could probably pull that off the screen. Brian, thank you very much. We will see you. Firebomb is giving me. I really want to play Friday night, but there's a good chance I'm going to be traveling. So it all depends on what my plans are Friday night. But I will most likely be traveling out of Wilmington Friday night. I'll do my best. I made it happen last week. I might be able to get a similar situation this week, but no promises. I'm telling. I will be there in spirit, which is all that matters. Yep. The spirit. So we'll check it. Hopefully, we'll see a whole bunch of people. We know a whole bunch of people own the freaking game because when we were playing it, there's a whole bunch of people playing. So hopefully, we'll see everybody Friday night for.
Firebomb will be hyping people all week to get
them
ready to go on it.
You need to hype them. So I will do my best to be there, Firebomb. I'm being sincere when I say I will actually do my best to be there. I'm not blowing any smoke or pulling anybody's leg. Absolutely. So I'm here for the show.
If he's at a computer.
Yeah, well, if I'm at a computer and I'm not passing up another situation, I mean, I will be there. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Episode 143 of Infection, the Survival Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. You can check out our website, InfectionPodcast.com. If you want to see more from me, you can check out The Crummy Show at CrummyShow.com. That's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good one.